After decades of marriage to Dylan, I only learned after his death, he had feelings for my best friend. Every time he approached me, bringing me milk tea and snacks, it was actually to give her a portion. He never revealed this affection to anyone, silently watching as my best friend dated other men. While they were passionately kissing, he smiled and asked me if I wanted to be with him. Later, we had a daughter and lived a very happy life. But on his deathbed, he clutched my hand tightly. "Celine, if we could start over, could you help me pursue Giselle? My greatest regret in life was missing my chance with her and stubbornly choosing you out of spite." What I once believed was mutual devotion turned out to be his second choice. I coldly withdrew my hand. Watched his heartbeat stop. "Fine, if we're reborn, I'll grant your wish." When I opened my eyes again, the pungent smell of disinfectant still lingered in my nostrils. But the surroundings had already changed. I wasn't in the hospital waiting for the doctor to issue a death certificate, but was just waking up after dozing off at my desk. My left shoulder suddenly sank heavily. Someone had given me a firm pat. Instinctively, I turned my head and met Dylan's smiling eyes. "What are you spacing out for? Class is about to start. Didn't you rest well last night? I bought you coffee." With that, the desk made a thud sound. It was the bottled coffee being placed heavily on the desk, as if trying to get someone's attention. I met his gaze. Clear and bright, when he looked at me, it seemed as if there was only room for me in his eyes. In my past life, it was these very same sincere, focused eyes that had tricked me into giving away all my affection. Thinking of his last words before death, I find nothing but irony. "I don't like coffee." Looking back now, all the signs were there. It was Giselle who liked coffee, never me. Dylan seemed stunned, as if unable to comprehend why I, who always greeted him with a smile, would reject him so seriously and directly. He offered an ingratiating smile, cautiously watching me. "Then what do you like to drink? I'll buy it for you after class." My deskmate and so-called best friend Giselle glanced at me before flashing Dylan a sweet smile. "It's fine, I like it." "Celine, you can give it to me." As soon as she finished speaking, Dylan snapped out of his daze and handed her the other bottle he had been clutching tightly. "This one is for you." An uncharacteristic blush crept onto the young man's handsome face. I took in their little exchange with cold clarity. I didn't take the coffee on the table and gave it to Giselle instead. She blinked at me happily, benefiting from our Celine again. But when I went to wash my hands in the afternoon, I overheard her gossiping with other girls in the adjacent restroom. "You know what? She's so fake, showing off how much Dylan cares about her. If it weren't for liking Dylan, who would want to be friends with her?" To escape this toxic trio dynamic, I asked the teacher to change my seat. She was looking at my ranking with concern. "Celine, I know you're a good kid, but you can't just focus on making friends and neglect your studies. You've dropped 20 places this semester, you used to be in the top 5. How are you going to get into a good school like this?" "Teacher, that's exactly what I wanted to discuss with you. I'd like to change seats." The teacher gave me a surprised look. Initially, it was I who had requested to sit with Giselle. I'd said I could help pull her up academically through mutual support. Her grades had improved significantly, while my own had gradually declined due to my wavering focus. In my past life, this very situation led me to only get into an average university, missing my chance at the prestigious school I could have attended. Given this second chance at life, I want to make up for past regrets. As I left the teacher's office, I unexpectedly found Dylan waiting outside for me. Since starting high school, he'd grown taller rapidly, soon becoming that tall, handsome young man. Meeting his gaze now required me to tilt my head upward. Dylan pursed his lips slightly, looking somewhat uneasy. Then, something warm pressed against my arm. Looking down, I saw it was a box of skimmed high-calcium milk. I suddenly smiled. So he knew what I liked, he just never gave it to me before. This time, I accepted it. Seeing me smile, his expression finally relaxed. Just as he was about to say something, I spoke up first. I asked the teacher to seat you and Giselle together. I know you like her, seize the opportunity. But no joy appeared on Dylan's face, he just stood there frozen. I gave him one last glance before walking past him. The teacher acted with remarkable efficiency. The seats were rearranged right after physics class. What I didn't expect, though, was being paired with Jasper, the top student in our class. He was usually reticent. Aside from answering questions, I'd never heard him speak. Hearing that the long empty seat beside me would soon be occupied, the pen scratching calculations on the draft paper paused briefly. He merely glanced up at me once. Behind his glasses, those pitch-black eyes remained utterly still, like stagnant water. That day, I finally managed to focus through all my classes without distraction. With neither of them beside me, even the air felt fresher. Just as I was immersed in scribbling away after evening self-study, a shadow fell across my desk. It was Dylan. He called my name with the same familiar warmth as always. Celine, let's go home together. His voice carried a faint note of excitement. Probably thrilled about sitting next to his crush, huh? Without even looking up, I replied, no, you go ahead. I'll stay a while longer. As if not noticing the distance in my tone, Dylan didn't move. He blocked the overhead light, leaning his hands on my desk. His voice remained warm. Studying this little bit longer won't necessarily improve anything, it's safer to go home early. I'm leaving first, who's going to walk you home? He bent down closer to me, his slightly elevated body temperature radiating through the air. I looked up and met his smiling eyes. With his backpack slung over one shoulder, he still had that effortlessly casual demeanor. As if certain I would agree. Over his shoulder, I saw Giselle standing behind Dylan, her expression slightly contorted. She had been glaring straight at me, not expecting me to suddenly look her way. Stiffening for a moment, she forcibly softened her expression, her smile particularly strained. I curved my lips into what must have been a somewhat wicked smile. That's none of your concern. Don't you like Giselle? Just walk her home instead. Stop blocking the light, you're in the way. Dylan's face suddenly paled. His fingertips gripping the edge of my desk turned red from the pressure, his breathing slightly quickened, and his eyelashes trembled. Caught off guard by my words, he instantly flew into a rage out of humiliation. His voice abruptly rose. Celine, are you mad about the coffee? But that doesn't give you the right to spread rumors. Who said I liked Giselle? The hallway was bustling with people. Other students cast curious glances between Dylan and me. After a few seconds of standoff, my new deskmate spoke up abruptly. Dylan, no one cares who you like. Stop shouting, it's annoying. The voice was icy, like shards of frozen glass. The air froze for several seconds. Someone stifled a laugh. Whispers erupted through the crowd. Amidst the murmurs and speculation, Dylan belatedly realized the situation and steadied the swaying Giselle. Before leaving, he shot me a long, meaningful look. Then, taking her wrist in his hand, he strode away under the watchful eyes of nearly half the class. From then on, the trio's friendship officially shattered. Dylan only brought her breakfast, coffee, and snacks. They went to and from school together, no longer needing an extra me wedged between them. Their relationship progressed by leaps and bounds, growing increasingly intimate. As for me, to avoid them, I rose early and stayed up late, stretching my study hours to the maximum. Finally, during the final exams of the second semester of sophomore year, I climbed back to 5th in class and 20th in grade. Holding the report card in my hands, I felt a sense of stability, as if I had regained control of my fate. My gaze traveled upward until it settled on the top line. The academic god who had always been looked up to but never surpassed. Jasper's name stood firm as a mountain, with no weak subjects, his objective questions barely lost any points. He was like a precision-engineered computer. Emotionless, never erring. Staring at my lopsided physics score, I suddenly felt the urge to humbly seek his advice. But when I glanced sideways, I found his gaze fixed out the window, as if lost in thought. Following his line of sight, I saw the orange-red hues of dusk and drifting clouds. Noticing my gaze, he gave me a casual glance. "What?" Though phrased as a question, his tone was flat, more like a statement. "Can I ask you about some science questions?" His eyes fell on the test paper on my desk. "You even got the easy ones wrong. Would teaching you make any difference?" Jasper wasn't being disdainful or mocking, he simply stated facts. Yet he still took my paper, picked up a pencil, and showed me how to substitute formulas. His explanations were concise but easy to understand. His gentle tone was like the sunset outside the window, creating an illusion of tranquility. After finishing the exam review, he handed the paper back to me. As I took it, he suddenly looked at me. His dark eyes were unfathomable. "You've improved a lot. Now that your grades are back, don't let them slip again." I froze for a few seconds before nodding firmly. In this lifetime, I won't get caught in their love games again. And I absolutely won't retreat anymore. That night, there weren't any dark clouds, yet it abruptly started raining. Jasper didn't have an umbrella, but I did, so I offered to walk him to the bus stop. He looked at me for several seconds. "I have a car coming to pick me up. I can give you a ride." His tone was flat, still carrying that aloofness that kept people at arm's length. But I didn't think he was as difficult to get along with as everyone said. He was tall, making it awkward for me to hold the umbrella high enough. Noticing my struggle, his slender fingers grasped the umbrella handle. "Let me hold it." The umbrella wasn't large, yet we walked shoulder to shoulder in silence. But I could feel it, that umbrella was tilted toward me. "Celine." Through the pouring rain, I heard someone call my name. That voice should have been the most familiar to me. After decades together in my past life, hearing it now felt strangely foreign. I didn't want to get entangled with Dylan, so I kept walking without stopping. Jasper glanced at me casually. "I remember you two used to be very close." I was surprised. "I didn't expect you to know about these things, buried in your studies all day." The corner of his lips twitched slightly. It was the first time I'd seen such a vivid expression on his face. I was studying, not deaf or blind. Dylan was talking so loudly it was impossible not to hear. No sooner had the words left my mouth than a figure blocked our path. Dylan hadn't brought an umbrella and was drenched from head to toe, his eyes barely open, the entire sockets bloodshot. Yet he stubbornly fixed his gaze on me. "I didn't bring an umbrella either. Why are you sending him home? After knowing each other for so long, do these few months of you being his desk mate mean more than our years together?" Yet for these past months, he'd been completely absorbed in his increasingly intimate relationship with Giselle. I'd been happy for them. Every time we met, he'd avert his eyes as if I were a stranger. What right did he have to question me now? I gazed at him calmly. "Do you really think I don't know why you approached me?" He froze momentarily, seemingly lost in thought. Seizing this moment, we walked past him and left. Yes, I should have realized this in my previous life. His sudden attentiveness wasn't because our parents were friends. It was because the transfer student Giselle was close to me. She had delicate features and a gentle personality. Yet she was bold enough to wear pretty floral dresses beneath her school uniform. The day after she transferred, she took the initiative to greet me, saying she wanted to be friends. Her eyes were sparkling, capable of drowning someone when she looked at them. Just like that, we became friends. We ate together and accompanied each other to PE class. Soon after, Dylan from our same class started getting close to me too. Previously, we'd only exchanged greetings. After Giselle arrived, he suddenly acted intimately familiar with me. The friend I thought I had was harboring ulterior motives. What I mistook for favoritism turned out to be his little trick to get closer to her. The rain grew heavier as the car sent for Jasper stopped at the school gate. Holding an umbrella, he opened the car door with one hand and slightly lifted his chin, signaling for me to get in. Without hesitation, I gave the address. In less than 10 minutes, we arrived at my doorstep. Just before I stepped out, Jasper called out to me. His eyes held no trace of warmth. I won't be returning after the semester starts. Study hard, if your grades slip again, no one will respect you. His voice overlapped with the sound of the engine starting. Raindrops pounded against the umbrella as realization dawned on me belatedly. People truly remain oblivious to their final farewells. That brief summer, I barely left the house. The moment I opened my eyes, I hit the books. Weak in science, I repeatedly reviewed textbooks, practiced problems, and noted mistakes until I grasped the underlying patterns. Time was scarce. With senior year looming, there was no room for error. Occasionally, I received messages from Dylan. I blocked all his contact information and phone numbers. But he keeps buying new numbers. I don't understand why he's so persistent. He clearly doesn't like me, so why waste his time on me? But I soon realized. Dylan likes Giselle, yet he enjoys my cautious affection and the way I secretly gaze after him. He relishes the admiration while still trying to get close to his goddess. What a jerk, I saw right through his game. I blocked his new number and marked it as spam. This holiday finally passed without incident. We moved classrooms, and the seat beside me remained empty. Just as Jasper said, he never came back to school. Coming from a wealthy family, he might have transferred or gone abroad to study. I was quickly assigned a new deskmate, the second-ranked student in our class, a quiet and intelligent girl named Felicity. She excels in science but struggles with English. We complement each other well, often discussing problems after class. Gradually, we grew closer. Under her guidance, my physics improved significantly. With my help, her English scores rose by another 10 points. In the first mock exam, she ranked first while I came in second. Our scores were neck and neck, with only a 5-point difference. She joked with me, "It's a good thing Jasper left, who could possibly outstudy him otherwise?" Suddenly, I remembered his calm profile as he focused on solving problems, and those words of his, "Study hard." Fueled by motivation, I vowed to become the new top student and surpass his records. While I buried myself in studies, I occasionally heard gossip about Giselle. Perhaps without me explaining key concepts and highlighting important points for her, her grades had plummeted back to the bottom of the class. While everyone else raced against time to climb higher, she poured her energy into Dylan. On the morning marking 100 days until the college entrance exams, in the empty hallway, she confessed her feelings to Dylan. It wasn't yet time for morning self-study, and the classroom was still sparsely populated. I sat by the door. The girl's voice carried a mix of shyness and anticipation. Though not particularly loud, it reached my ears clearly. "Dylan. I like you. I know you care more about Celine, but I still want to try my luck. Would you be my boyfriend?" No further sounds came from outside. I was halfway through solving the derivative problem, swiftly scribbling calculations on scratch paper. Dylan's voice sounded hesitant. "The college entrance exam is coming up soon, we should focus on studying. We can talk about this after we're in the same city." Giselle cut him off. "Dylan, there's a boy from the next class pursuing me. If you reject me, it's fine, I can always go out with him instead." After what seemed like a prolonged standoff, Dylan's voice dropped to an extremely low whisper. "Fine, I promise you." I finished writing the last equation and flipped to the answer key for comparison. Identical answers. Felicity leaned over and gasped in surprise, "Wow, you're so fast, it only took you 10 minutes, right? Whoever scores highest this time treats everyone to dinner. No objections?" Before I could respond, my test paper was snatched up. Giselle's voice was sweet, her smile radiant. "Wow, the genius is really impressive. Let me share some good news, we're together now." She raised their clasped hands, her smile almost taunting. "Thanks for giving us the chance to get closer." Felicity was practically dumbstruck, gaping in disbelief. She'd never seen anyone boldly announce their relationship in front of classmates like this. Weren't they in their final year of high school, on the brink of college entrance exams? Couldn't she tell which mattered more, her future or her love life? Giselle and Dylan both looked at me, seemingly eager for my reaction, waiting for me to lose my composure. Yet I remained calm, even offering a smile and my blessings. Wow, really? You two are such a perfect match. I always thought you'd be great together. Dylan's expression darkened, the smile freezing on his lips. Celine, Giselle was kind enough to tell you. What kind of attitude is this? He stared at me intently, as if trying to uncover my true thoughts. We're just classmates, what attitude should I have? I looked at him with amusement. I'm not your parent, you hardly need my approval. The class bell rang, and students gradually filled the room. The two of them awkwardly returned to their seats. My deskmate Felicity whispered, "What's wrong with them? Are they showing off to you or something?" I shrugged my shoulders, who knows? In the next mock exam, I finally surpassed Felicity, becoming first in my class and third in the entire grade. There was still some distance between me and Jasper, the former top student of our year. But I firmly believed that ultimately, I would surpass him. Exam after exam left no time for melancholy. Shouldering my burdens, I hurried toward the next destination. Draft papers filled with notes piled higher and higher, while blank test papers grew fewer and fewer. I gradually cleared away all difficulties and gaps in my knowledge, mastering every problem in my mistake notebook through thorough understanding and repetition. Given a second chance, I finally reclaimed my opportunity to strive. In the final mock exam, my scores climbed to first place in the entire school. I had become the Jasper of the past. The teacher looked pleased. With this kind of determination, you'll go all the way to the college entrance exams. Jasper also said before he left that he believed you could do it. My eyes widened in surprise. Jasper? He mentioned me to you? Yes, he said you and Felicity complimented each other well and that putting you together would definitely lead to improvement. The teacher sighed regretfully. If he hadn't gone abroad, he probably would have been the top student in the city. A warm current flowed through my heart, followed by an indescribable pang of melancholy. If Jasper hadn't gone abroad, we would have been great rivals. As the college entrance exam approached, I pushed myself even harder. But at this critical moment, shocking news broke out. Giselle was pregnant. This gossip became a spicy distraction from our monotonous studies. The revelation sent shockwaves through the entire school. It all started when Giselle's parents stormed into our classroom in a rage. Giselle's mother strode up to the teacher's platform and boomed, "Who is Dylan?" The classroom erupted in whispers while the physics teacher stood there bewildered. Giselle's seat remained empty. Everyone's gaze instinctively turned to her deskmate, Dylan. He had no choice but to stand up and admit, "It's me." His eyes darted nervously, as if guilty of some shameful misdeed. Giselle's father charged forward and without a word, delivered a stinging slap across his face. The sharp crack of the heavy blow echoed through the corridor. Dylan's face instantly flushed red on one side, leaving a distinct palm print. His head was still turned from the impact when a test result was slammed onto his desk. Giselle's father trembled with rage as he pointed accusingly. "You fatherless bastard. You've ruined her entire life. She's still so young, not even an adult, how could you trick her into doing such things?" The man was practically steaming with anger. The test result slapped on the table showed an HCG value indicating 4 weeks. Dylan's eyes widened in disbelief. How is this possible? I didn't. I never even. Whack. Another slap landed. Seeing his cowardly refusal to admit it, Giselle's mother also flew into a rage. She rushed forward and delivered another stinging blow. The asymmetrical handprints on both sides of his face quickly swelled. That once handsome, refined face now looked as ugly as a pig's head. The teacher quickly arrived with the dean and escorted Giselle's parents out. Dylan followed behind, his face flushed red down to his neck, not daring to lift his head. The once confident and radiant boy who shone brightly in my memories now appeared vulgar and repulsive upon reflection, nothing more than that. At this critical juncture of the college entrance exams, Dylan stopped coming to school. Perhaps he couldn't bear the strange looks and whispers from classmates. Or maybe it was a guilty conscience. Either way, it had nothing to do with me. I was focused solely on the final sprint. In the days that followed, I proceeded methodically, maintaining a calm mindset. 7 days before the exams, on my way home from evening self-study, Dylan appeared before me after a long absence. He blocked my path. Despite it being summer, he wore long sleeves. A dark bruise marked the corner of his mouth, looking unsettling. Frowning before I could speak, his hoarse voice reached my ears. "Celine, believe it or not, I didn't do that. We were dating, but it never went that far. She was two-timing, didn't protect herself properly, yet told her parents I was responsible. Celine, the report's been filed, everything I'm saying is true. You have to believe me." The boy's once straight spine was now hunched over. The whites of his eyes were bloodshot, dark circles shadowed beneath them, and his face had grown gaunt. He looked at me with something akin to pleading, wanting me to believe him. But what difference did my belief make? Everything you have now is your own choice, you can't blame others. Whether it's fake or real, this is your life, and it has nothing to do with me. The last glimmer of light in his eyes quickly faded. But what was he disappointed about? Wasn't this the very choice he had most wanted to make in his past life? With me out of the way, wasn't it better? For the next few days, to avoid running into him, I took a different route home. On the day of the college entrance exam, my parents drove me to the testing center. Perhaps due to the influence of rebirth, my memories of the exam questions from my past life were completely blurred. The moment the test papers were handed out, I began writing furiously. Those who chase the light will eventually find their path illuminated. When the last subject was over, I finally let out a sigh of relief. Everything had settled at last. On the day the results were released, I logged into the score-checking website. The moment I saw my results were shielded, I had a pretty good idea. Prestigious universities I wouldn't have dared dream of in my past life extended their olive branches one after another. I chose the most renowned university. Seeing my parents' proud and excited expressions made everything worthwhile. When the rankings were made public, I still couldn't quite believe it. The number representing my rank left me standing frozen in place. First in the entire city. A ranking high enough to surpass even Jasper's. His name suddenly popped into my head. If we were still in contact, I'd have loved to show off this thrilling good news. I wonder where he is now. Is life treating him well? My phone rang. It was a call from my teacher. Her voice carried joy and admiration. "Celine, congratulations on achieving first place in the city. Would you be able to come to the school? There's something I'd like to give you." Arriving at school, I went straight to the teacher's office. My teacher asked me about my college preferences and talked with me at length. Before I left, she handed me a letter. "This is a letter Jasper asked me to give you, saying it should be delivered after your college entrance exams. It's getting late, you should head home soon." It's hard to describe how I felt when I received that pale purple envelope. My thoughts drifted back to last summer. Jasper had forgotten to bring spare pen refills and borrowed a pen from me. All my pens were bought wholesale. Violet-colored casings. He asked, "Do you really like purple?" Without looking up, I continued silently writing English vocabulary words. I answered offhandedly, "Yeah, it's a beautiful color, don't you think?" Such a simple pen, that fleeting remark of mine. He actually remembered. I entered an empty classroom and opened the envelope sealed with wax. I pulled out the letter inside. The edges of the stationery were adorned with violet flower patterns. He wrote, "The first time I saw you, you were filling water at the dispenser. That day I had a fever and no warm water for my medicine, so you shared half a cup of hot water with me. I saw the name on your badge, Celine." He wrote, "Every effort made in the present is to avoid future regrets. I believe you must have achieved what you set out to do. May your path ahead be smooth and your future bright and splendid." It was a simple letter. 3 pages long, yet not a single word about himself. Holding this somewhat weighty letter in my hands now, I felt lost. He wasn't in the class group chat, and no one knew how to contact him. The only connection between us was this letter I held. Lost in thought, my phone suddenly rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Almost unconsciously, I answered it, hearing a somewhat distorted voice on the other end. It was Jasper. Heard you got first place, called specifically to congratulate you. Still dazed, I asked, Jasper? Where are you? His pleasant voice traveled through the phone, reaching my ears. I applied to a university abroad and have already settled in here. Which school did you choose? Was it the one you had your heart set on? Yes, Jasper, your memory is impressive. We had been desk mates for barely half a semester, yet he remembered the bold declaration I had casually mentioned. Although I knew it was just his good memory, I couldn't help but be moved. I don't remember what else we talked about that day. I only recall his voice, laced with laughter, before hanging up, a bright future awaits you, top scorer. To celebrate, the school hung a banner with my name. Outside the gate, they posted my photo alongside the university I was admitted to. My parents made detours during grocery runs just to pass by, taking pictures to send to our family group chat. Next to mine was the photo of Felicity, our grade second-place student and my deskmate. In the picture, we looked so youthful and full of vitality. That summer was the most relaxed time I'd had since my rebirth. Dylan didn't disturb me again. But I still heard news about him through my parents' dinnertime chatter. Got admitted to a third-rate university, it shouldn't be like this. With Dylan's past grades, he could have easily gotten into a good school. My mother sighed. I heard he got into a relationship and was involved in a scandal. His girlfriend got pregnant, and the whole school thought he was the one who did something wrong. Turns out he was taking the blame for a student from the neighboring school. His mother told me they'd transfer him to another school to repeat the year. I stayed silent the whole time, eating happily. My father's cooking suited my taste perfectly. I wouldn't get to eat it for a long time once I left for college, so I cherished it. My mother suddenly asked me, Sweetie, I remember you and Dylan used to be close. You always talked about him, why don't you keep in touch anymore? I answered truthfully. He made such a big deal out of his relationship. I was afraid it would affect my grades, so I cut ties with him a long time ago. My father nodded approvingly at me. You did the right thing, sweetheart. Don't associate with him, he doesn't seem like a good person at all. Suddenly, I remembered, in my past life, when Dylan and I got engaged, my dad sighed all night. That evening, he talked to me for a long time, asking how Dylan truly treated me in my words. I thought it was just him being reluctant to let me go, but now I see, my dad was always better at judging people than I was. At the end of August, my parents accompanied me to register. While waiting in the long queue for ticket inspection, I spotted Dylan and Giselle in the adjacent line. They were carrying a large suitcase together, holding hands intimately, looking every bit the picture of a loving couple once more. I turned my head away, pretending not to have seen them. Giselle's voice carried over from a distance, what a coincidence, top student. Are you also heading to school to register? Dylan saw me and silently let go of Giselle's hand. His face flushed crimson as he turned away. I merely responded with a quiet offering no further reply. My dad chuckled and asked, Dylan, didn't you say you were repeating the year? Why are you heading to City A? Dylan reluctantly greeted my parents. His fingers nervously traced the seams of his pants. Well, I was afraid repeating wouldn't improve my scores, so I decided to enroll. Uncle, Auntie, Celine, long time no see. His gaze shifted to me. His eyes held emotions I couldn't, nor cared to, understand. Talking to fools makes one foolish. I ignored him. He chatted with Dad for a while. Giselle kept looking at him expectantly, as if hoping he would introduce her. But from start to finish, he never did. Dylan, isn't this your favorite girl? Isn't this the love you've always wanted to pursue? So why, when it's right in front of you, do you always hesitate like this? He was far more complicated and more pitiful than I had imagined. On one hand, he was infatuated with Giselle's youthful beauty, yet on the other, he looked down on what she did. His cheap love was truly nauseating. Throughout my 4 years of university, I worked hard to improve myself. I participated seriously in activities and learned how to conduct experiments. Whether in interpersonal relationships or academic pursuits, I always strived to handle everything perfectly and appropriately. I made many like-minded friends and earned the appreciation of my mentors. With top rankings in both midterm and final exams all 4 years and full marks in extracurricular activities, I successfully secured a recommendation for postgraduate studies. I continued my graduate studies at the same university, choosing the same advisor I had during my undergraduate years. While eating at the cafeteria, I saw that face again, both familiar and unfamiliar. He wasn't as thin as before and seemed to be in much better shape. It was as if he had returned to that sincere, youthful version of himself from back then. He set his tray down and sat across from me. Gone was the lack of confidence from 4 years ago at the train station. His eyes now sparkled with a bright glow. "Celine, you really are studying here for grad school. I got into the physics graduate program at your university. Can I have your contact info again?" He looked at me, his eyes brimming with hope. But beneath that, I could see a hint of determination, as if he already had everything planned. In this life, because he focused too much on romance, Dylan was terrible at physics. But in our past life, he had scored nearly perfect marks in every major physics exam. The same tone of voice made me recognize the man before me, the one from our past life. "Sorry, I don't really know you." I had finished my meal and was about to leave with my tray when he called out to me. Lowering his voice, he said, "I broke up with her, Celine. After going around in circles, I still think you're better, more suited for me. I know you've also been reborn. Can you forgive me? Can you give me another chance?" Many men seem cast from the same mold. They excel at weighing pros and cons, always prioritizing self-interest. Dylan knew that while beautiful women were desirable, when choosing a wife, one should opt for someone with potential, an equal match. In my past life, I had a stable job, was gentle and proper. I took good care of him and our daughter. But what did it matter? If I was given a second chance, was it meant for me to waste it and repeat the same mistakes? "I never hated you, let alone talk of forgiveness," I said calmly, looking at him. "In my world, you're nothing more than a passerby, not even worthy of being called a friend. Do I need to spell it out? Everyone looks down on you for what you did, including me. Instead of begging for my forgiveness, why not prove to others that the choice you're so obsessed with was the right one?" He fell silent. During the 3 years of graduate school, I never saw him again. After completing my studies smoothly, my advisor recommended me to join a nationally renowned research institute. The institute provided housing subsidies. After the probation period, my salary was 3 times what it had been in my previous life. I knew education could change one's fate. But it wasn't until I became a completely new version of myself that I truly realized the importance of choices. Another year passed, spring giving way to winter. I returned home. Here, winter brought no snow, only icy rain. Holding an umbrella, I stepped out of the car and reached for my luggage in the trunk when a slender hand beat me to it. I looked up and was surprised to see Jasper, whom I hadn't met in years. The boyish softness had completely faded from his face. His nose was high-bridged, his features sharp and cool. "I just visited our old teacher and happened to pass by here, just in time to see you." Rain dripped onto his shoulders. I quickly raised the umbrella higher. He set the suitcase down steadily, offering a faint smile. "It's been so long. Don't you have anything to say to me?" I snapped back to reality. "You're back in the country? What do you do now?" "I'm a doctor. Been one for about a year." "That's wonderful," I said sincerely. "Such a noble profession." He smiled. "And you?" "I work at a research institute, fairly stable." He pulled my luggage all the way to the stairwell. The old-style apartment building had no elevator. I closed my umbrella and reached for the luggage. "Let me carry it up for you, and you invite me in for a bit?" I was surprised but didn't refuse him. After knocking, my mom saw the face behind me and her voice rose with delight. "Oh. My daughter brought a boyfriend home? Since when? Why didn't you tell me?" I quickly explained, "This is my high school classmate who happened to pass by and helped me with my luggage." "Mom, don't get the wrong idea." My mother nodded with a smile and warmly invited him inside, more sincerely than when she welcomed me. I shook my head helplessly. "Jasper works as a doctor in City A. I work at a research institute in City A." My mother mysteriously came to my room. "He's a fine young man with a good job. Your father and I are both pleased. Since you're both in City A, you could develop something. By the way, Dylan got married last year, apparently to the daughter of his company's boss, not that girl we saw at the station. You know, your father was right about him, he really is quite goal-oriented. I can't deny that being goal-oriented makes it hard to fail in life. But I'm petty." His final words in our past life made it impossible for me to bear seeing him thrive. As if heaven heard my silent wish, gossip about him erupted like a stone creating waves again. Instantly, the name Dylan went viral once more in our long-dormant high school alumni group. The scandal was leaked by a good brother who still kept in touch with Dylan. The boss's daughter returned early from a business trip and caught him bringing someone home for illicit affairs. She immediately hired lawyers to gather evidence, got blood tests at the hospital, and left him penniless in the divorce. Thankfully she didn't contract any diseases. The company fired him, leaving him burdened with luxury brand debts. The good brother revealed the mistress he brought home was none other than Giselle from back then. Too sensational, too dramatic. Yet this was reality, this was human nature. I saw him again in the news, criminal charges for knowingly spreading STDs. Even through the heavy pixelation, I recognized him instantly. The subtitles on the video read, "The suspect is charged with spreading a malignant disease, sentenced to 4 years imprisonment and fined 50,000 yuan. In this second life, it turns out this was what he pursued. To rot, to stink, to become pitiable." I looked out the window at the clear blue sky and smiled cheerfully. Jasper side story, farewell letter, second year of high school, second semester. I became desk mates with that girl. I remember her name, Celine. She was smart, but her mind wasn't really on studying. By chance, I noticed her gaze was always fixed on someone else. Dylan. The star of our grade. Good at basketball, decent looking too. She liked him, it was obvious at a glance. Silently, I took out a fresh sheet of scratch paper and reworked the easy points I'd missed. I thought we'd have no connection beyond that half cup of hot water she shared with me. But one day, she became my desk mate. Her eyes could no longer hold Dylan and Giselle. She finally started to study hard. Her English was excellent, always answering questions fluently. However, she struggled with physics and math. After an exam, she asked me about a problem. It was a typical one, too simple. In the past, I wouldn't have bothered to explain the formula. But seeing the intense desire for knowledge in her eyes, I still broke down the problem step by step. She understood it instantly. From then on, she often asked me questions. For some reason, I enjoyed watching her improve. I also looked forward to the day she could surpass me. Time after time, her progress grew greater and greater. As her teacher, I was delighted. But time is always short. As the second year of high school was about to end, my parents discussed sending me abroad. Thinking of that delicate and pretty face, I felt reluctant to leave high school life for the first time. Fortunately, fate was on my side. On the day of the final exam, it rained. I had brought an umbrella but hid it at the bottom of my backpack. When she asked me, I told the first lie of my life without blushing or a racing heart. I didn't bring an umbrella. She was kind enough. True to form, she offered to give me a ride. Reciprocating the kindness, I had the driver take her home. As she got out of the car, I took one last look at her. In the future, she will surely do well and get into the university she wants. I said to her, after school starts, I won't be coming anymore. Study hard, if your grades slip again, no one will respect you. May she not be blinded by a single leaf. May her future be bright as brocade. My TOEFL scores were decent. I applied to the same university my father once attended. Both my parents are doctors, and I, too, take pride in becoming one. The application went smoothly, and I'll soon be going abroad. My dream is within reach, yet I hesitate. That night, I stayed awake until dawn. I ruined 3 sheets of paper before finally writing a letter. Your half-semester deskmate Jasper, hope this letter finds you well. The words came with difficulty. This was the first letter I'd ever written in my life. I couldn't quite define my feelings toward her. A classmate? A friend? Or perhaps, something more? For this letter, I dug out the wax seal my father bought during his study abroad days. After many attempts, I finally stamped a perfect one. I hope it brings her joy when she receives this after the college entrance exams. Time flew by. While overseas, I received a text from our former teacher. She told me my deskmate had topped the class, and that my letter would be delivered tomorrow. My stomach twisted with nerves. That letter never mentioned me once. Would she still detect the budding affection between the lines? Yet anticipation burned brighter. I longed to imagine her expression while reading it. 10:30 p.m. her time. 3:30 a.m. mine. The teacher confirmed she'd taken the letter. In the darkness, I stared at my phone. 10 minutes, surely she'd finished by now, and I dialed her number. I didn't give her my contact number, but secretly memorized hers. When she received my call, she was surprised, perhaps even startled. She had done it, achieving the highest score in the entire city. I thought, if I had stayed for the college entrance exams, I might have been overshadowed by her. In just a year and a half, she had reached such heights. She was truly the genius girl in every sense. I didn't know what our future held, nor should I make promises while still on my own path. I told myself I would become a doctor worthy of the name. If we were to meet again, I wanted it to be at my best. To ensure that day wouldn't be too far off, I had to keep striving. Fortunately, after 8 years, we crossed paths once more. Truthfully, I hadn't just happened to pass by her home, I'd heard she was returning today and deliberately waited nearby. I knew it seemed calculated, but often, success depends on effort. I wanted to fight for this. The night before I planned to confess, I had a strange yet vivid dream. In it, she married someone else and had a daughter. When we met again, it was in a hospital. I had become the attending physician for her husband, Dylan. Time passed swiftly, and she no longer resembled the girl from my memories. She didn't recognize me. With tears streaming down her face, she asked how much longer her husband had to live. In the dream, I gave her the standard answer, at a conservative estimate, 2 weeks. Her tears flowed even harder. I pushed the tissue box on the table toward her. There's no hurdle that can't be overcome. Look ahead. I woke from the dream. How absurd. How could she have married Dylan? And for him to be short-lived? I'll change all this. I ordered a bouquet and invited her to dinner at a restaurant. Seeing me in my stiffly pressed suit, she laughed. You're dressed so formally? To accomplish great things, how can we not be formal? She agreed with me. As expected of me, I indeed nipped the nightmare in the bud.